Welcome. We have a very special program today. We're going to talk about living with a medium with our dear friend Dan Ehlers and Chantal Miranda, who is a medium herself. We're going to discuss certain things that are not discussed normally on TV, but this has to do with how or what is it like to live with her as a medium. He comes from another background, totally different from hers, and how they get along and how they can work together and support one another. This is Healing Arts Academy, Reconnecting Souls for a Better Living. This is Ariel Zvi. We appreciate your donations via PayPal and Venmo if you are in the United States of America. And as I'm telling you, with a very special program where our hearts are together, me being in Costa Rica and the both of them being in Australia. I do hope you enjoy this program very much as I did when I did the recording. Enjoy. And we want to thank Daniela Flores for making this possible. Thank you both for being here with me.
Hello.
Hello, and thank you for having us.
It's my pleasure. Well, so many things to talk about, but my dear Dan, when was the first time you realized you were maybe dating a medium?
Very early on, Chantal was a little bit cautious about what she did, which is completely understandable. So it was after a few dates that the discussion came up, and then it just sort of, she gave me a little bit of an insight, and then we just sort of went from there.
What was your first thought when she told you that?
My first thought, honestly, was what an amazing gift.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Because let's talk about this. Some people get scary over this, and they shouldn't, but they do.
Definitely not.
But they do. As I told once to our dear Chantal, had I had the chance of having a medium when my father passed away, but anyways, I was not given the chance, and being able to give the chance to others is wonderful, isn't it? Because sometimes,
Absolutely.
even though, to me, it's the same when they leave all of a sudden, or even when we have the time maybe to have a word with them, but it is always too soon. That's what I mean to say. I mean, we wish they would stay with us forever, but that's not possible. That is not possible. And Chantal, how did you express that? What were your words, or how did you introduce this subject to him?
I was very straight up front because I didn't want to waste his time or my time later on when you get to know each other. So I said, before we continue, there is something I need to let you know. I'm letting you know now. And if you're willing and you're open to it, it's your decision. So I said to him, I'm fifth generation. I am a medium. I do see spirit. And I just told him. And then I looked at him and he just said, wow, that's fascinating. And that was that.
Great, great.
Yeah.
And of course, how was the first show that you went with her then? How was it like?
To be honest,
yeah,
it was mind-blowing. Honestly, mind-blowing. Knowing that Chantal had no idea of the people, she didn't know the people she was reading for, and to have the accuracy and the connection, the warmth, the explanation that she was reading, it was just out of this world.
It is. It is. I believe it. It is. And sometimes it is not easy to get the message through because people sometimes expect you to do it maybe in some other way. And sometimes you have to explain a little bit more so the person can connect. Something else. Sometimes they are in pain because it happened recently. So it's not easy, I would say. Right, Chantal? Is it common?
100%. A lot of people that do come think the minute that someone crosses over, goes back home, spirit world, they need straight away immediately to see a medium. And it doesn't happen like that. You need to give yourself that time frame to progress what's happened. So that's called grieving. And it's very important that you do the grieving before you can go and see a medium, because I've explained in all my workshops, in all my events, that it is important for both. The person who's crossed over, they're also grieving the life they lived here physically. So, you know, no one knows how it's going to work out when I do mediumship. Sometimes spirit comes straight away. And I've had a lot of those who have come to see me just after they've gone to the funeral or just when they heard they passed away. And
I would
they
have done it.
knew,
Let me tell you the truth. I would have done that.
yeah, but maybe your dad wouldn't have come straight away. He wasn't prepared. So
Probably.
it's not, yeah. So it's not about how quick they passed away. You need to take time to grieve. And for you, I'm still going to do you a reading at the right time. Don't you worry. However,
I know.
we need to respect the spirit and your feelings. It's very important. When the person is so intense about the loss, you know, you're grieving, it becomes a little bit harder for the medium because we take upon their grieving as well, and it makes us feel very sensitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Because we're sensitive, so we feel their pain as well. So it's very mixed up between the loved one who's crossed over and the person who's grieving. So I'm feeling I can't get through, I can't connect because I'm feeling the person's grieving too much. However, that's not to say that spirit don't come through. It's happened a lot of times where the person's just passed away and they come and see me, but they didn't tell me they've just passed away. I see them straight away. And that actually happened in a show that I did last week.
Wow.
There was 100 people there. And as I'm reading, I was attracted to a lady, her brother was there in spirit. And he was saying to me like this, you know, for the lady. So I approached her and I said, I'm going to come to you because I always ask the people if they're okay with me coming to them. So I said, I'm going to come to you. I've got your brother. Your brother's waving his hands to me to let you know that he's made it and he's with your mum and your sister. She cried. This is a lady who's about 80.
Whoa.
Now,
Okay.
hang on a minute. There's more wow to it. She brought her family tickets to come and see me. It was a whole row of family.
So daughter, granddaughter.
All her daughter, granddaughter, and some of the in-laws. So she bought tickets for my show, but she never expected that her brother would come. So what happened is that he passed away 2 weeks prior.
Wow.
But she hadn't told the family yet. So it was a shock to everyone that night in the audience. Everyone's looking at her and they looked at me and I said, is everyone all right? And this lady was very shocked and didn't know how to tell me that her brother passed away 2 weeks ago, but she hadn't told the family yet because she was going to do it tomorrow, like the following day, to get them all together. However, the brother's attitude was very different, and I had to say it how it was. He said, get it out of the way. I'm going to do it for you because she doesn't know how to say things. The sister, the lady that I was doing the reading for.
And saying something like that is not easy anyways.
No. And the fact that the lady didn't know how to tell the family that the uncle had passed away. She waited 2 weeks to tell them. However, he just came through and told them that night. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So the whole family were crying. They said they had not, because they knew he wasn't well. They just went to see him, but he did pass away 2 weeks prior. So, yeah. So that's what I mean. Sometimes they're very quick and sometimes they can take a bit longer. And he was very quick.
And why do you think sometimes it is like something quicker and some of the times it's like not that fast? Is because the person is not ready to leave yet, or what does it have to do with it? With the person, you know what I mean?
I think it's got to do with them straight away understanding they're no longer here physically. So some of them are confused, but some know straight away. So her brother knew because he was dying anyway, but they gave him a bit more like they gave him 6 months and he ended up just 2 weeks.
Oh.
So that's why the family was in shock.
Mm-hmm.
And
because,
go on.
One tends to think that you close your eyes and you open your eyes and you're on the other side and everything is fine, nice and dandy. But sometimes it is not like that, right? Sometimes it takes time.
It does. And to be quite honest, there are going to be a lot of questions that we're never going to know because Spirit or the Great Divine doesn't give us all that information, and I respect that. So not all your questions have an answer. When people say, what is there? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Is this? I don't know all those things, but I can tell you that they are in peace because I feel that warmth. I feel that love, that genuine love when they do come through. Now, it's like giving birth. They're going back home. So they need to disconnect from we're spirit. We're all spirit. But when we are in our body, we become the soul. So the soul has to disconnect to become the spirit again. So it's not, sometimes it's harder than others.
I understand. And then, what is the energy like? Because I was with her the other night and the energy to me was very strong. So let us know, what is the energy like in your case? How's your experience in that matter?
The longer I get I'm with Chantal, the stronger the energy gets. I'm used to it, but the more communicated, the more connected I'm becoming, the stronger I'm feeling it again. So now this is where I'm getting to the stage I've got to protect myself more because I'm actually feeling that energy coming through, and it does radiate up to an extent. So I have to look after myself and protect myself, grounding myself, because the energy does get stronger as you get more, as you're longer together.
That's wise of you, of course. And can you sense when she's about to say something, maybe in a public place, and can you sense it? Ah, I see.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm sort of, because we've been together for such a long time now, I know when she's getting into that kind of zone and she's feeling it, and I know just to give her that space because that's when she needs to really focus and connect properly. So I can definitely tell when she's connecting.
No doubt. And what kind of support can you give her when she's about to do that, or even in your shows? Tell us a little bit about that part, because that's what we want to know.
Oh, I give her support before the show. We just talk constantly before the show about how, obviously reinforcing that her gift and everything. People are there to see her, but also there to support the show because I'm behind the scenes. I work with the spotlights, the cameras, the seating, at that side of it, so Chantal can purely focus on her gift and her event.
The thing is as well, what I tell Dan is before I start, I don't like talking about it too much.
That's right.
I like to listen to music and really, really not think about it, because then it takes me from where I need to be, if that makes sense. So I say, because Dan is a numero, like he likes numbers, analyzes. That's what he does for work. He's a logistics management. So everything has to have logistics to it.
A purpose, a reason, has to fit in together. Everything has to be logical.
So when he starts telling me, you're going to be fine, you're going to be, I say, don't do that. Just, I need my space and I listen to music because I trust I trust the universe. I trust it's going to work. But the more, even my sister came to and my children, they come to some of my events. They love it because it's also a little holiday for them.
Now, usually before the event, though, about 30 minutes before she goes on, that's when I'll leave her to get her own space. And that gives me the opportunity to go and make sure everything's ready where the event is. The seating's fine, the speakers are fine, the lights are fine. So that way I'm doing my part behind the scenes while Chantal's getting ready. So we both know what we're doing. We can rely on each other. We don't have to think about it. We can just focus on what we're doing. It makes it better for both of us.
Great, great. And something else. If spirits visit you at home, can you sense them as well then? Are you getting like more all the time? Great.
Absolutely.
Great. Great.
It's, you'd be surprised how much, until the more you become aware of them, the more you can sense them. That's the biggest thing. But the thing is, don't be afraid of them. I mean, some people, as Chantal said earlier, they become afraid of them, but you don't need to be. And the more we're relaxed at home, and we relax and we're here, but you can definitely sense them around. But we know we're in the human form, so we're okay.
Great, great. So they cannot
it's nothing scary. Definitely nothing scary.
They cannot, like they show in the movies, they cannot attack people or stuff like that. They cannot do that.
It's a lot more force because we're in the human form, they're in the spiritual form. It takes them a lot more energy to do any kind of movement than we can control that. So there's nothing to be scared about. As long as we have the love and light, absolutely.
Because we don't work with anything negative. It's all about love.
Positive energy, absolutely.
So if somebody senses something that they may not know exactly what it is, or I would not know how to call it, what advice could we give them? What could they do?
First off, don't get scared. Then just sit down and just have a think about what's causing it, what's triggered them. Is it something they're reflecting on? Is it something in the house, just something unusual? But honestly, do not be scared. That's the worst thing to do, because if that negative energy, if they feel like that, can manifest itself in a big way. So positive energy is, okay, this has happened. Why has this happened? And is there a message for me? Is it a positive message for me because of that feeling?
Can they take from our energy to recharge themselves, to call it somehow?
They don't take energy from you as such, but yes, they can, but not to recharge themselves. It's when you allow it to happen. So that's why you need to protect yourself, because we are all energy. Okay,
Absolutely.
we are all energy.
Absolutely. What kind of protection could we give ourselves?
There's obviously, you have to be grounding yourself.
How do you do that? By meditating.
Meditating, we go out, we'll sit in our beautiful backyard, we'll sit on the grass, we've been in a nice environment, relaxed environment, the plants, everything around us, because natural earth, plants, we sit in the backyard, we'll sit there, we'll appreciate what's around us, we'll be thankful for what's around us, mindfulness, gratitude.
Great.
And we learned, and I've taught a lot about chakras, the importance of balancing them, and keep yourself protected in a bubble of light. So anything negative, unwanting, bounce back love to those energies, people. Yeah.
Because they're for real.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not only in the movies. I mean, as I keep on telling, I mean, why do you think people say that? Where do you think the word death comes from? Because we transcend, we do not die.
Yeah. It's the end and the beginning, like anything in our lives, right? In our lives, we have an ending of a relationship and a beginning of new. So that's what it is. It's the death of an old thing and the beginning of something new. So it's the in-between that happens. And that happens everywhere. We end a job, okay, and then we start a new one. So it's the end and beginning. So the word death is in the Bible, and it's in every language, in every culture, that it's the end of something. However, it's the beginning of a new.
It's not like a dead end at all.
No,
at all.
No, the soul is. It's only the capsule. Like, this is nothing. Like I said, we're all spirits. Once we're in the human form, that us, we've become the soul. That spirit turns into the soul, right? Then when we die, the capsule stays here, the physical, but the spirit goes back and it's back to the soul. I mean, spirit. The soul is gone back to a spirit. Yeah, that's the word.
Oh, okay. I call this, because of the movie, of course, I call it Avatar. So we leave the avatar and we transcend. We go somewhere else.
I think, to be honest, how I believe is that we're very naive if we think we're the only entity, life form in this entire universe, Great Divide setup. There's one small little speck, and we're that speck. I think there's so many things out there, and we just have to be open and aware of it as well, so that way you can accept some things aren't explained, and there are other levels and other realms that are around, not just our physical form that we're in right now.
I agree. I agree. What would you tell people if they come then and meet somebody and they say, you know what? Well, they'll be careful in how they express what they do. But if they're mediums, what are the thoughts that people should people should have when somebody comes, or when they realize somebody is a medium?
I think one is to be open-minded. A lot of people are very close-minded or narrow-minded. They say, this is it. There's only one fact, whereas we all know there's always a lot of other entities and forms out there, as I said before. Now, if people come in very closed off, it also makes it hard for mediums to read them, because it's hard for Chantal or other mediums to get through, because they need to be invited in, so to speak, so they can get the proper connection. Now you have to go in wanting to be read, because Chantal always asks permission to read people. If they say no, she respects that, and we sort of go on to another person. So, and I think now, since COVID has been through, a lot more people are becoming open to the connection from mediums as well, because they need something to hold on to after such a closed-in time. Yeah. And a lot of people now are thinking a lot more again about others and connections and loved ones and family. So in a way, even though COVID wasn't very nice, but in a way it's actually opened up a lot of people to this connection, so people can reach to the other side again.
I would probably say they've become more aware that we're not just us, and they've become more mindfulness of being in the living, if that makes sense.
What I would suggest are people thinking of seeing medium, do your research first, because there are a lot of dubious mediums out there, and they give the genuine ones a bad name and that kind of thing. So don't just jump in and say, I want to go and see this medium, this is it, blah, blah, blah. Actually do your research first and see recommendations of that, because you'll generally find the proper ones and they're actually the ones you know you can trust.
Something else, I would invite people to sense, because sometimes somebody's introducing himself as such and such, and something within you says, like, I don't know why, but I don't believe him, or I do not believe her. And that's really important.
It is, that's right. It's that trust factor.
Yeah, it's called the gut feeling.
It is.
Exactly.
And that's part of your chakra, and that is your solar plexus, the yellow chakra. And that is the highest connection that we have. We all have that. And that is your intuitive. So listen to your gut feeling, which is your intuitive. And
when I'm talking to people at events that we go to, and this is genuine, a lot of people say they come and see Chantal because they get the warmth, or they can see it in her eyes, that the caring and genuineness from it. And I said, and they genuinely want to believe, because they feel like they're actually drawn to her. And we said, that's perfect. We always say, look, if you're not drawn, and you find someone else you're drawn to, go to that person, because that's who the person is meant for you.
Exactly.
We always recommend go to the person you feel drawn to.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And Chantal, tell us a little bit before we go about the classes you give and where to reach you, please.
Well, at this point, I finished all my classes, and it's called Spiritual Awakening. So the classes really take about 6 hours, and we talk about, first it's theory. So it's the understanding the background. then we do practice. And then we get into conversations, the understanding, because there is a fine line between mental health and what we do. I am a qualified counsellor, welfare worker, and I've worked as a palliative care nurse for a long time. Palliative care nurse, 18 years. In general, it's been 20-something years. So I can pick up when someone is not, I can't help them because it's more of a mental situation, okay? And that does happen. So it's a psychotics, if you know what I mean. And then you've got the people who go through the process of spiritual awakening, where I can analyze and go, yes, you are going through that. So to be quite honest, is giving them that comfort platform and safe platform where we can share all these, talk about what is normal, what is not normal, if that makes sense.
It does. So somebody with some kind of a mental problem, they might hear some voices or stuff, and they may not.
That's psychotic, so yeah. So you've got to be careful with that, because you've got the psychotic where at times some people have, you know, it's got to do with drugs or psychotically, you know, they're not mentally well and they hear voices that really don't resonate with what I do. For example, if someone comes to me and says that they had the television on, but they had no volume on it, but they could hear voices talking to them and telling them they had to do this, they had to do that, and they come to me to tell me that, to me, that's got nothing to do with spiritual. That is actually a mental situation, health, where I couldn't help but refer them to go and see their doctors. So I stopped right there.
Very important to know, very important to know. I would want to let you know how much I appreciate your time and for
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
It has been my pleasure, because there are so many things we're learning about now that maybe we could not believe in the past. And not because I do not believe in something, I could say that it doesn't exist. So we have to be very careful. So is there anything else you would like to tell us about, or shall we wrap up?
Okay, look, the other thing is that this has been for generations and generations. It's always been there. And the truth is that we're becoming more aware of it now. Like Dan was saying, after COVID, you know, we were all in lockup. So, you know, when we lose someone that we love, a lot of people understand and they start hearing things, which is, you know, spiritually, it's not to be afraid, really, not to be afraid. And unless you're doing negative things that are, you know, substitute to bring and use black magic and things like that, that's a big no for me. I don't do that.
The problem is not
out of my way line.
Sorry to cut you off. The problem is that I might be opening doors that I may not know how to close, and we have to be very careful.
That's why you need to, yeah. And this era, or now this generation, or what we're doing now, we have really good mentors who actually teach. So we're not hidden anymore. We're out there to educate. The good and the bad. Just like any religion, you've got the good and the bad. So it's the yin and yang that match. And it's you know, like there is good, there's also bad. So you need to understand the difference between both of them. And when you do, that's when you make the choice what, you know, where you're going. I'm totally all about love and light. You know, I'm a grandmother, I've got kids. I wouldn't want to bring negative energy to my circle, my environment.
And if I could just say one thing too,
please. As
a person who comes from analytical and data, and I have to, for work, I have to prove points, I have to validate data. So to see what I see and do what, and everything that Chantal's done, it's okay to be skeptical. Everybody has that right to be skeptical, but just keep an open mind and don't close it off, because some things are meant to be unexplained.
Yeah.
That's very true. That is very true. And something else that came to my mind, how could we establish communication? Maybe I lost a family member and I sense something that probably I believe is that person. Is there any way, shape, or form in which I could establish communication with that person, with that sensation that I'm having?
100%, 100%. Sit in the silence. Sit down, okay, in a comfortable place, close your eyes and do meditation. When you do meditation, it doesn't mean that you have to sit in the om, because a lot of people can't. They don't have, the concentrate. It's allowing in that space just to feel, be you, and slowly start getting connected. Now, the more you try, the harder it is. So don't keep trying, because we are energy. That means that you're being, how can I say, it's forcing it, so it can't get through.
It must flow.
It must be natural. Don't try too hard. Just trust the universe to give it to you. Do it with your love, your heart, and just let it flow. And you will see a little image of the person in your third eye. Don't ever doubt it. Say, thank you for coming. Because the more you acknowledge it, the more you're going to feel it. The more you're going to stop trying, because you know it's there. But it's all about setting your mind, your thoughts, and relax. Let it happen. Let it come through. And they're all the things I teach when you join into one of my programs, how we work with it.
We're going to leave
exactly right. You can't force it. You cannot force it. It'll come to you when the time is right.
Well, we live in the microwave time, so we want everything like in 2 minutes. But this, you cannot force it. Absolutely. But we cannot force this. So thank you so very much for being here with me.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for giving us some light also in this matter that normally people do not talk about.
I'm happy to talk about it, because I firmly believe in what she does, and I firmly believe that everybody's got the option to communicate. You just got to be open to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's be open. Let's have an open mind. Be careful also. Watch what you do, because yes, there are other dimensions, and yes, we could open doors that we left after that we may not know what to do with it. But so please be very careful. Thank you so very much for being here.
Do your research.
Exactly. That's very important. That's very important. And one thing that I would say is you can watch what she does on the web and sense her, because that makes a difference. Or if you have somebody close, and if somebody has videos on the web or whatever, sit down and sense that person. I'm certain your inner being will let you know if that's the right person or not. As Dan said, as simple as it sounds, follow your gut, follow what you're feeling. That can save you from problems.
Yes.
So please be careful with that. So thank you so very much to my two dear friends in Australia.
Thank you. Have a great day.
My pleasure.
Bye.
And thank you for each and everyone who's going to watch us later on, because this was recorded. Wow, what a program. I hope you learned as much as I did. And isn't it wonderful to know that people do not die, they just transcend. They move from one place to another. They leave their avatars, but they're still somewhere else. And yes, they can come and visit us. This was another special episode for sure of Healing Arts Academy, Reconnecting Souls for a Better Living. This is Ariel Zvi saying until next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.